I didn't plan for anything to happen. I didn't go looking for trouble. But sometimes, the most dangerous moments aren't loud, they're quiet, private, and unnoticed. This is the story of an excursion that changed everything, without anyone ever finding out. I didn't go on that trip looking for trouble. That's the part people never believe. It was meant to be harmless, an organized excursion arranged through the resort. Boats, sun, laughter from strangers who would forget each other's names by morning. I signed up because it felt easier than staying behind, easier than sitting alone with my thoughts and the quiet questions I kept dodging. She was already there when I arrived at the dock. I won't use her name. I won't describe her in ways that would make her recognizable. That's not why I'm telling this. I'm telling it because some experiences don't end when you leave the place, they follow you, reshaping how you see yourself. We spoke casually at first. Safe topics. Travel. Work. Small complaints about the heat. She mentioned her husband only once, lightly, as if mentioning the weather. No drama. No bitterness. Just a fact. I should have stepped back then. But the boat pulled away from shore, and the distance felt symbolic. Like permission, excursions have a way of loosening rules. Time stretches. People feel temporary. You start believing that whatever happens exists outside your real life. We swam. We laughed. We drank too much of something cold and sweet. She stood close when she spoke, close enough that I noticed pauses, those tiny hesitations where words aren't the only thing being communicated. I told myself I was imagining it. I told myself I was being respectful. But restraint is fragile when it's tested gently. Later, on land, away from the group, she admitted she felt invisible at home. Not trapped, just unseen. I listened, too closely, with the kind of attention that feels like relief to someone who hasn't been heard in a long time. I remember saying, we should stop talking like this. I remember not stopping. The second excursion wasn't planned. That's the dangerous part, when something starts happening on its own. She didn't say no, but she didn't say yes either. Instead, there were moments where she pulled back, moments where she whispered that this was wrong, moments where her eyes asked me to be stronger than I was. I kept telling myself I was following her lead. I kept telling myself she could walk away at any time. But wanting something doesn't mean you should take it. I begged her to slow down. She begged me to stop looking at her the way I was. We were both lying, in our own ways, pretending restraint was still in control. Nothing happened that day that could be photographed or proven. But boundaries shifted, and once they move, they never return to their original place. She was never caught. Her husband never knew. That's what makes this story harder to explain. There was no explosion, no confrontation, no dramatic ending, just a quiet unraveling. She became distant, careful, afraid of herself more than of consequences. I became aware, painfully aware, of the role I played in her confusion. I hadn't forced anything, but I hadn't protected anything either. The excursions ended. People returned to their rooms, their flights, their lives. On the last day, she hugged me longer than necessary and whispered, "This stays here." I nodded, but it didn't. I still think about that trip, not because of what almost happened, but because of what it revealed. I learned how easily we justify crossing lines when no one is watching. How anonymity can feel like innocence. How being wanted can become more important than being right. She went home to her life, untouched by scandal. Anonymous. Unexposed. Safe. I went home changed. Some adventures don't leave marks on the body. They leave them on your judgment, your memory, your understanding of responsibility. I tell this story not to confess, and not to brag, but to warn. Not every line crossed ends in disaster. Some end in quiet regret. And those are the hardest to live with. Not every mistake ends in disaster. Some end in silence, memory, and quiet regret. If this story made you reflect, even uncomfortably, then it served its purpose. Because the lines we almost cross often teach us more than the ones we do. Thank you for staying with me till the very end. If this story made you pause, reflect, or see things a little differently, then your time here truly mattered. Stories like this aren't just told, they're shared. And every like, comment, and subscription helps keep these honest, human moments alive on this channel. If you believe in real stories, quiet truths, and narratives that linger long after they end, then I invite you to subscribe and stay with us. New stories drop regularly, each one crafted to make you feel, think, and sometimes question everything you thought you knew. Turn on your notifications so you never miss a moment. This isn't just a channel, it's a place for stories that matter. Once again, thank you for listening. And welcome to the family.